But first, if I may, affirmative action itself as an issue. I just took the Wikipedia article on affirmative action, and I'm quoting from Wikipedia. Affirmative action is intended to alleviate underrepresentation and to promote the opportunities of defined minority groups within a society to give them access equal to that of the majority population. Alleviate, opportunities, equal access. What could be wrong with such things?
Well, there are always wonderful words to describe things that are not very wonderful.
Yep. It's a shield. Like I said, the left is good at that. They're good at masking their true intent. They're masking, hey, let's try this idea. They pitch you, they sell you on it. They're like, oh my God, it's gonna be a great idea. We just gotta do it this way. And then when you do it and you get the results of that, you find out it's hell. Affirmative action is meant to promote equal opportunity and equal access that the major population has. Okay, we're gonna put you in Harvard, even though you didn't have the best test scores, but you good enough. And then you'll get into Harvard or you get into any Ivy League university and you're falling behind in class. You can't keep up with the schoolwork. And next thing you know, you're dropping out of Harvard. You're dropping out of Yale. There's no honor in that. You can't brag about it. I'm a Yale dropout. Where's your company? Yeah, most Yale dropouts, they start their own company and they're billionaires. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. What happened to your black butt? Why are you just a dropout? Most dropouts from Yale are impressive. What happened to you? Oh, I kind of fell behind in Yale. They won't admit that. They won't admit that affirmative action set them up for failure. When if they had went to a college more on their level, they would have been graduated. But nah, we got to give them affirmative action to Yale. Like these universities create geniuses. Here's an inconvenient truth about college, and I did a video on this. College filters for the best students already. Why do you think you have to have such a high SAT score to make it in Yale? You can't have a SAT score of 1,000, get into Yale, and then come out of Yale as a super genius. No, that's not how it works. Yale already filtered for those students. So then if you lower the standards so you can bring in a more underrepresented group, what are you doing to that group? You're setting them up for failure. This is why after affirmative action, Cornell, I believe it was Cornell University, Thomas Sowell, he made a groundbreaking scientific discovery. He looked at Cornell's history of enrollment for black students because for some reason in Black History Month or whatever, when we do Black History Month, no one mentions the fact that black people were graduating out of university before affirmative action. For some reason, we don't know about that. Why? Because liberals want to take credit for it. Liberals want to be like, you're the reason why you're in college. We're the reason why. If it wasn't for affirmative action, nobody would let you in college. Like we didn't have historically black colleges throughout the history of this state. Bruh, I'm telling you, these liberals, these progressives like to take credit for stuff. These progressive academics have spent decades convincing black people that they can't do nothing without the state. And I'm sitting here trying to tell them, hey, black people, you were successful before the state got in. You had college graduates graduating college before affirmative action. Affirmative action didn't start until the 1960s. And Thomas Sowell observed that when black people who got in there before the 1960s had a certain dropout rate. After affirmative action, he noticed that the dropout rates for black students increased. So what's the cause? What caused that increase? What happened? What changed between the 1960s and the 1940s? Oh, affirmative action. Oh, lowering the bar. Oh, getting more underrepresented groups into university. University don't make you smart. You're already smart before you got into university. The university is just taking credit for it. That's how I see the university. This is why I think college is a scam. There's stats out there. 40% of people who graduate from college show no difference of educational improvement between their freshman year and their senior year in college. That's concerning, isn't it? So that means you didn't really get smarter in college. It's just, hey, I'm here for a credential. I'm here for a stamp of approval. That's why you go to college for. Pretty much is to get validated by a third party. That's the reason you go to college. It's a glorified certificate. It's a glorified certification. That's all it is. Hey, you wasted 4 years of your life in this institution. Now you can go get a job. To me, it's a form of gatekeeping. But I digress. Hi, Idle Castle. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Let's get back into the video.
Tom, again, on affirmative action as an issue in itself. I read up a little bit on the history of this. The first use of the term affirmative action takes place in an executive order. John Kennedy, 1961. He's telling government contractors to take affirmative action to make sure that none of their employees is discriminated against on the basis of race. President Johnson issues an executive order in 65 with almost the same wording. And in between these two, this executive order in 61 and the executive order in 65, we get the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race. And Senator Hubert Humphrey was the floor manager of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and he said the act, quote, would prohibit preferential treatment for any group. Humphrey added, quote, I will eat my hat if this leads to racial quotas.
I guess he's gonna eat his hat. I don't know if he's still alive. Is Hubert Humphrey? I hope to say his name right. Is he still alive? 1964. He should be. I hope he is. The act would prohibit parental mental treatment for any group. That means affirmative action was never meant to give special treatment to a racial group. It was meant to prevent discrimination against a racial group. But look at it. Look how we turn around in 2023. Democrats in the past said, hey, we're doing this to prevent a wrong. And now Democrats in 2023 said, hey, we use this to justify a wrong. Now we use affirmative action to discriminate against Asian people, even though they're a minority themselves. But because they're overrepresented in academia, in the Ivy Leagues, we got to put more black people in there. But then you look at the NBA, which is 74% black. You don't see no affirmative action for that league. Craziness. Idle Castle said he recently purchased the book. Bro, I've been trying to get to Barnes & Nobles this entire week, but things keep coming up today. So I couldn't. But I'm getting this book by the end of the week. Maybe in the weekend, I'm going to go to Barnes & Nobles and find that book. Because I want to have it. I'm a big Thomas Sowell fan. If you're new here, Larry Elder, I thank him every day that he exposed me to Thomas Sowell. But hey, I digress. Let's get back into Thomas Sowell expose here.
Close quote.
Yeah.
And so this is the mid-60s. By the mid-70s, racial quotas are the stuff and substance of affirmative action. Bakke comes along and says, you're not allowed to have quotas, but you're allowed to take race into account in admissions decisions. So quotas drop out of the picture, but still it's preferential treatment.
Exactly.
It begins with a notion of neutral treatment, just enforcing equality before the law, but quickly becomes preferential. Why? How did that happen?
Well, I guess there are people who wanted to push this as far as they could. But it's also true that in other countries where they've had similar things, because these programs are not unique to the United States. In India, for example, the courts said, you can't have these kinds of preferences. You have to, give everybody an equal chance individually. But they allowed them to take into account various subjective things. And of course, in India, what they would do, they would have a 5-minute interview with each student. And the students whose scores were not high enough, they gave them high marks on the interview. And the others who were up at the top, they gave them low marks on the interview. And apparently, I gather from some things that I've heard that Harvard, the Asian students always get low ratings on these subjective things.
Wow. You see the game? And sorry about the ads, guys. Normally, I'll never have ads on my live streams, but for some reason, YouTube made it like a requirement to have live stream ads in the damn thing. So now I can't remove it. The most I can do is pause it. Because like it's getting annoying. That annoys me because I see my viewership drop and I'm like, yo, where everyone go? It's probably because of the ads. So I try to pause the ad, but yeah, it's just recently, like 2 weeks, I think a week ago, they added this. So I hope it doesn't disrupt the process too much. But going back to my point, the fact, you see the workaround. So now they can make it look like merit based. Oh, it's not, we don't discriminate on race. It's just Asian students perform worse on the personality test and the personality questions. Black students and Hispanic students perform better on the personality test than Asians. That's why they get into schools. Instead of something measurable and objective, like math, like knowledge, like knowing what to do, like passing your test. No. For some reason, the underrepresented group always have higher scores on the subjective test. Who would have thought? But then in corporate America, they'll make you do biasy training. I think university needs to highlight their own stuff and get their own biasy trainings. That's crazy. You see the game these people, I'll never forget this Thomas Sowell quote. Affirmative action is just racism under new management. Hey, bro. 93 still working. 93 still making books. And we got a president younger, like what? I don't know how much younger Biden is to Thomas Sowell. Maybe 6 years younger than Thomas Sowell. And he out there fumbling on his feet. Dude right here, 93 years old, still putting out books. Bruh. I digress. Let's get back into the video. Oh.
Which can't be checked, yes. And others get high ratings. So you can play these word games. And I just fear that this decision, which seems good and certainly overdue, will not lead to that kind of thing. When people back in the 50s in the northern states were trying to get rid of racial discrimination, one of the things they did was say you cannot submit a photo, require applicants to submit photographs. Mm-hmm. When Woodrow Wilson first introduced this kind of thing into the federal system, he wanted photographs. So if what you're saying is you can't explicitly give preferences, but if you can find out the race of the people, then you can subjectively take that into account. Wow. And the whole thing will be a farce. We'll find out whether they were serious or not. There's a wonderful book called Mismatch about the bad effects of affirmative action on.
Yeah, it's mismatch theory, and a lot of liberals seem to have a problem with mismatch. Oh, mismatch theory is a farce. No, it's not. It's true. If I put a short player, I put him at center, and he's getting wrecked by these 6'9", 6'10", 250 centers and power forwards, I'm setting him up to fail. I said that's a mismatch. Oh no, it's not a mismatch. There's small players that can succeed. It's just the people you happen to pick are not good enough to play at that position. Yeah, because he's 5'2". But this is the kind of arguments they'll do to try to get around the mismatch theory. You're setting up people for a test that they're not properly prepared to actually be successful at. They have a low probability of success. If I put a beginner to play against a chess master, he has 99% chance he's losing to the chess master. But if I put someone of comparable training, comparable knowledge, comparable experience against them, he has a more better chance or more favorable chance. This is what affirmative action does. It put the kid with no experience into an environment where all his competitors have months of training, years of training, knowledge, experience, and we want to give them equal access. This is why affirmative action hasn't made it in chess yet. Imagine affirmative action for chess. Oh, female chess masters, y'all play against the males. Oh my God, all the best chess players has been overwhelmingly male. No, you gotta be able to beat them. It's not our fault you can't beat men at chess. Hey man, I digress. Affirmative action is not good. Inequality is not inherently evil. It's inherently real. The reality is we're all unique in this world. And the fact that we all are unique in this world means that we all have different outcomes. Equality is an exception, not the rule.